court wants to apologize to you. My deputy told me I had a flat. I went out and I had a nail in my tire, and I had to find some good, wonderful angel that took my tire off. So I'm sorry about that. But let's proceed. I'm sorry. Things like that happen. Next witness. Oh, you're still on, madam. Lieutenant. Cross-examination, sir.
Lieutenant Powell, how are you?
I'm well.
I want to continue in a different area. We, on your original testimony, had gone into the question of timing and the accuracy of timing. And I asked you whether or not you were aware of whether or not Officer Melendez's in-car video was accurate or not accurate as it relates to the time that's reflected on it. Remember that testimony?
Vaguely, yes, I do.
Would you, okay. Did you do anything to determine whether or not it was real time in terms of the accuracy of the time that is reflected on the video camera from Mr. Melendez's car?
And as I recall testifying, that I had no way of doing that in terms of comparing with what. It was months after the incident happened. I had nothing to calibrate the timing or anything. If that had been done, it had to be done within Inkster PD because I had no access to his equipment.
Well, in addition to Melendez's car video, which shows the time, you also have other evidence that has been introduced in this case relating to what happened that evening, correct?
Correct.
You have the dispatcher who's dispatching.
Yes.
And the dispatcher's log shows timing, correct?
Correct.
So, for example, when it was said, one not stopping, the dispatcher's audio would reflect that, right?
Yes.
And that was that compared to Officer Melendez's video to determine whether or not they were consistent?
They were consistent. They weren't right on, but they were consistent.
Ma'am, isn't it true that Officer Melendez's video was off by more than 13 minutes?
I don't know.
Okay. We talked about whether or not the video was tampered with, and you've taken the position, and you agree that it had not been tampered with.
Exactly.
Okay. But as in terms of the amount of time difference between the dispatcher's, I'm going to use the term CAD system, and the notations of time from the dispatcher, you didn't compare it to Officer Melendez's video to see whether or not there was any time frame?
No.
Prosecutor and I talked before we came out here, and we've agreed for time purposes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Donaldson, that the reflection
That always happens.
I'll come back to that, I'm sorry, but I think we have a stipulation that at a specific time that, here it is, that the CAD card system will show slowly pulling over at 21:45:01. I'm going to ask you to look at it and see if this refreshes your recollection. Did you see this document?
I'm sure I have. What am I doing now?
Take a look at it and see if you recognize it.
Yes.
And Had you seen it before?
Yes.
Is this something that you were investigating at the time that you went out there and looked?
It's something I collected.
Okay, and what is it?
It's Randazzo's and Arnica's CAD card.
Randazzo and Arnica's CAD card?
Yes.
And is that, does that reflect times on it?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's Officer Melendez's
Thank
possibly CAD card.
Okay, and this is something that you gathered, correct?
Yes.
And on that CAD card, there is a statement that's made, which you don't have to say, but it reflects a time when the car is being pulled over.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us what that time is? Because it's really small print, and I can't tell whether it's one number or the other.
21:45:01.
Okay, so do we then, Mr. Prosecutor, is for purposes of stipulation, do we have a stipulation that 21:45:01, that was the time in which Mr. Dent was being pulled over?
Stipulation that the CAD report reflects that as the time in the CAD report.
So reflect.
Slowly pulling over.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
You see?
May I approach again, Judge?
Yeah.
I'm going to object if he's going to get into any more content. If he's going to get into the timing, which is what I told him, I had no problem with. He can do that.
I only got one more, and that is about one fighting with one, if I was going to do it, but I didn't tell you I was.
The time is 21:45:01, the primary incident.
And what does it say?
Primary incident, main, opened.
No, ma'am. Does it say pulling one over?
Yes.
You can put in the time of the fighting. You can put in the one fighting.
Okay. And so the prosecutors agreed with me that at 21:46:01, that there is a reflection fighting with one on the CAD report of Officer Melendez.
It definitely says you have it in your hand. I don't.
All right. So, but if he agrees,
Doesn't mean nothing. I want to testify to what I see.
Okay.
I don't want to just testify because he's not his head.
Madam.
I'm sorry.
Lieutenant,
I'm
I got
sorry.
this.
Okay. Okay.
Let her testify.
yeah.
I've already stipulated that, so I think we're done.
Okay, well, you can stipulate to its admission, but you can't stipulate to the veracity of it. Can you testify to that, madam?
Yes, ma'am. 21:46:01, slowly pulling over. 21:46:01, fighting with one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And this is on what date?
January the 28th, 2015.
Thank you. And when you had gotten the investigation in this case, you had indicated that you were involved on March the 23rd, 2015, correct?
Yes.
And that was, you said it was approximately 2 months after the initial the incident had occurred. Correct?
Yes.
And in that time frame, at that point, then you would have expected that that evidence of video cameras would be dissipated or recorded over. Is that what your testimony is?
When I checked for him, it was.
Okay, and so you were not able to obtain any video evidence from either the Budget Inn or from the Park Ridge Apartments?
Correct.
Park View Apartments, correct?
Park Ridge, yes.
Park Ridge.
Mhm.
Were you aware of whether or not there had been a citizen's complaint filed against Mr. Melendez or the Inkster Police Department?
Objection, relevant.
Do you have any information, I'll move on. Do you have any information that there was going to be any adverse?
I'm going to
Let him
object.
just say what he gonna say. Please, adverse what?
adversity as a result of the alleged beating that took place
Now you want to
before you came on the scene.
How is that relevant?
Because the implication, Judge, is that evidence that was out there got let go, and it's not her fault. Well, nobody knew.
Counsel, that is a wonderful try to have her to testify as to something she didn't know about, but not in this courtroom. Move on.
Okay. Were you able to gather phone records from Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Did you get phone records that show phone calls that were made at or about 9:21:30, which would be about 15 minutes before the incident?
I'm going to object, Your Honor.
Just let him ask the question, please.
But he is assuming facts, not
But
evidence.
you don't know. You don't know. Just say it. What is it you want to say, Ms. Thomas?
Ma'am, did you get his phone records?
I got his phone records.
Did you look at his phone records?
Yes.
Did they show his phone calls just before the incident and afterwards?
Yes.
Okay. And it was as a result of that you tried to obtain cell tower information?
No, I did it all at one time.
Okay. Now,
Let me tell the judges of the facts. What's a cell tower information?
Cell tower is, when you're on your cell phone, the signals that's transmitting from your phone is hitting different towers. And with that,
can we
May I-
at least
wait, no,
establish
no.
her
Can you let
ability
him-
to testify to this special area
Okay.
of scientific knowledge?
Okay, very good. Let me run my courtroom.
I get it, Judge.
Please,
but I would like to
you don't
object.
get it because you keep interrupting me.
Judge, objection, foundation.
Overruled. Now, what's a cell tower?
a cell tower, like I said, is the towers that's placed along different areas of the freeway, the city, that sends a cell signal when you're making a phone call, and that's how they're able to make locations as to where the call is, coming in and going out
Now, let
from.
me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you have a cell phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you get a bill?
Yes.
Okay. And it may say a time that a call was made.
Yes.
Okay. Do you as a police, can you get something that we don't get on that bill? Such as where the cell tower is that correct?
Not on my personal bill, no.
You don't get that on your personal bill?
No.
But as a police officer, you can?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, and you're just talking about, that's just how the phone company know you made a call at a certain time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Based on the cell tower?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Move on. Go ahead, counsel.
Did you obtain cell tower information?
Pardon me?
Did you obtain cell tower information?
Yes, I did.
Are you a specialist in cell tower interpretation?
No, I'm not.
Are you aware of whether or not cell tower information can in fact be misleading?
Well, if she an expert, how can she answer?
I asked her if she was aware.
No, you asked her, was she an expert? It's a very sensitive area. And then you asked her a question, can it be misleading?
Judge, she said no to being an expert. Now
And
I'm
she's going to
asking
say
you-
no to answer this question. Move on.
You're the investigator in this case, correct?
Yes.
You got a search warrant for cell tower information, correct?
Yes.
You filed an affidavit to support that search warrant for cell tower information.
Correct.
So wait a minute. Hold on for a minute, Mr. Thomas. That means, why'd you do that? You can't just say, hey, Verizon, give me the cell tower.
Well, I had to establish probable cause to get that.
So you mean tell me you can't just pick up the phone and call Verizon or T-Mobile or Sprint
No,
for the cell tower?
exactly.
But you could if, okay. So then you had to ask them something specialized in what's known as an affidavit to ask them to give you something. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, you did that?
Yes.
For Mr. Dent?
Yes.
And then what did they give you?
I got the data back.
What's data? I don't
The
know.
data, the cell phone data, the court order that I obtained to get that information. I got electronic records giving me that information that I asked for,
Which is what?
which is telephone call log, text messages, cell site and tower information. Yes.
And they gave you all of this like this. They just you sent them a letter. They said, here you go. That's what they gave you.
It was electronically disseminated.
Okay, very good. And then you cannot testify as to when things were admitted. You can only testify that they sent you the information.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, counsel.
Judge asked you about probable cause. You understand that probable cause is a suspicion.
Yes.
It doesn't mean proof beyond a reasonable doubt, correct?
No.
And you're not here to testify about what the interpretation of those records were, since you're not an expert.
You can't do that, can you?
No.
Okay. But you were testifying you just got it. That's what your testimony was, that you got some telltale information and you got the phone calls and some text messages. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. But not to the accuracy of any of that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, at this point, I'd like to move to introduce Mr. Dent's phone records in a redacted form.
Any objection?
I'd like to think on it, anything that he wants to get in terms of time and so forth, that's fine with me. Anything that would be compromising of his personal rights, I do have a problem with. And we're going to have to talk about it. I'm willing to stipulate to the times, which is what I think he wants to do.
Is that what you want, or is it for the time and numbers?
I didn't get the search warrant. They did. Whatever rights he had were his rights. But I'm not looking to find out who he was talking to. I just need it for timing purposes.
Okay, very good. So you
And I
have just a
stipulate to the
redacted,
times. Yeah.
the redacted form just as the time. Is that correct?
Correct, I would stipulate to that.
Is that what you have, Mr. Thomas?
That's what I want.
Just the times only?
That's correct.
So the numbers he called will not be reflected on that exhibit?
It will not.
Okay, very good. I have no objection.
It'll reflect the date, the time, outgoing or ingoing, the duration of the call.
Very good.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
What exhibit number is that, sir?
That's going to be defense exhibit number B.
B. Quarter receiver. You want to show her the document? Have you seen the document, Mr. Donaldson? Have
I
you
think
seen
we're
it?
going to have to, I've seen it, but I think we're going to have to play with it before its formal admission. I will stipulate to its admission in the
Okay.
form we've discussed.
So very good. Let's do this, Mr. Thomas. Let's use it just for asking of questions, but not for publishing it to the jury at this point, okay?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, very good. Do you have a copy of that, sir? Mr. Thomas?
I don't have a clean copy, Judge. I was going to lead her through it.
Could you?
All right. May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yeah.
I'm going to... Ms. Powell, I'm showing you what is a...
Mr. Thomas, you blocking the judges out of that. You can block me. I ain't nothing to do with
Judge,
it.
I've been trying to do that all day.
I know that's what you've been doing.
All right. Ma'am, I'm showing you a document which is proposed Exhibit B. Does that show call records?
Yes. Yes.
Is this the call records that you were able to pull for Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Okay. Does it show incoming and outgoing calls?
Yes.
And is there one that is undetermined at some point?
Yes.
All right. Now, these are records that are for the time frame that is January 28th of 2015. And I'm going to address your attention to the hour of 21:15.
Okay.
Okay. Now, ma'am, do you see a call at that time?
Yes.
That's military time. What time is that?
That is 9:15.
9:15. And at 9:15, what does it show?
An outbound call.
9:15 a.m. or p.m.?
PM.
PM.
21:15. Outgoing or incoming?
Outbound.
How many seconds?
Let me see.
Okay, I'm going to run you through it. Just
Okay, I got to see though. Outbound. 45 seconds.
Okay. What was the next call?
The next call was inbound. Inbound. It was at 21.
Just give us the read.
I'm sorry. Trying to read
After
it.
you say that.
9:26 p.m.
How long?
That one was 25 seconds.
Okay. What was the next one?
The next one was at 9:26 p.m. for 19 seconds.
19 seconds. Was that incoming or outgoing?
That was routed call. I don't know what that means.
Okay. Go ahead. What was the next one?
The next one is an undetermined call. 128:15. I'm sorry, yeah, 128:15 at 9:26. No, 9:28 for 46 seconds.
Okay.
The next one is an inbound call, 128:15 at 9:29 p.m. for 380 seconds.
Okay. 360 seconds would be 6 minutes and a little bit more. Would you agree?
Your math is, I'll count on your math.
Okay. Ma'am, what was the next call?
Outbound, 128:15 at 9:36. It was 17 seconds.
Now, outbound means he's calling somebody else.
I don't know, somebody else. What do you mean? He's making a call.
You're making a call
He's
out?
making a call out, right.
Outbound. All right. Next.
Inbound call came in at 128:15 at 9:37 p.m. for, I believe that's 450 seconds. You kind of wrote over it.
That's well over 7 minutes, isn't it?
Like I said, I'll count on your math.
I'm sorry?
I'll count on your math.
Oh, okay.
Then you want me to go to the next call?
Yes, ma'am.
Inbound, 128:15, 10:18 p.m.
Okay, that's after the arrest.
for 25 seconds.
All right, that's after the arrest.
I'm going to object to that characterization. We don't know if it was or if it wasn't.
Same.
You saw the video. Ma'am, you saw the video. How many times did you see the video?
Several.
Okay. We just introduced a stipulation that Officer Melendez reported at
It was 21:45.
21:45:01, thank you.
That wasn't the stipulation. The stipulation was that's what the report said.
Sustained.
All we're going from is the report. You weren't there, were you?
No.
Okay. All I'm saying is you had this CAD card document, did you not, in your investigation?
Yes.
And you had his phone records as a result of a warrant that you had asked for.
Yes.
Okay. And so at 21:45:01, that's when Officer Melendez is pulling over Mr. Dent. Would you agree?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Because you weren't there? Ma'am?
Yes, I wasn't there at the.
Okay. You're the investigator in this case. You're the person who went out to determine what actually happened. Are you telling me that when you had this evidence in your hand, that you didn't look at it and try and correlate it and see whether or not the pieces fit, not just from what people said, but from what's in the record?
I don't get what you're saying. My job was to determine whether the physicalities of what happened and how they happened. You telling me about times. I don't know if the dispatch time is correct. I don't know if the time on the tape is correct. You're talking about minutes and times and things like that. My job was to investigate the officer's actions. It wasn't to specify a time.
Ma'am, when you're investigating the officer's actions, you go out and talk to people, do you not?
Yes, I do.
You try and assess their credibility, do you not?
Yes.
Not only the credibility of the police officer who you're investigating, but also the witnesses who you're talking to who are trying to put him in jail.
I'm going to object to
Sustained.
that.
Do you talk to the witnesses?
When you say witnesses, who are you talking
Talk
about?
to you about Mr. Dent and Ms. Williams.
Yes, I did interview those people.
Did you talk to them about what it was that they were saying?
Yes, I did.
Did you find convenient Ms. Williams volunteering the fact that he...
I'm going to object to find convenient.
This goes to the investigation, Judge.
Okay, it is the words you're selecting. Rephrase.
What, if anything, did you find when you saw Ms. Williams volunteer that Mr. Dent is meticulous about his car and that he wanted to clean it and did so when he was out there to see it?
I'm going to object. What difference does it make what her opinion is?
Really?
Because don't we assess the credibility of witnesses based on what they say? Ma'am?
I'm
I can
coll-
object, her opinion doesn't matter in this case.
It does
It's
not,
yours.
no offense. It doesn't.
She's the investigator.
It doesn't matter.
So you're going to report a lie and put it on a piece of paper.
You're gonna
Is it
report
without
with-
looking at it or
Okay.
scrutinizing it?
Let me ask you this, Lieutenant. Do you determine if it's a lie or truth, or you just get information?
No, I gather the facts. I
That's
don't
it.
make any determination.
Truth or veracity goes to the jury.
I get it. You gather facts, but you don't analyze them?
I don't think he wants me to ask what her analysis says, so I don't think this is a particularly fruitful line of cross-examination.
I would
I
agree.
think it
Mr.
might be
Thomas.
if I'm allowed to go where I want to go.
Well, where do you want to go?
I want to go as to whether or not she, in her investigation, makes a determination based on the same thing that the jury does, looking at the person, listening to what they say, whether or not they're inconsistent, whether or not the evidence flows directly from what they say, or whether there's something there that poses a problem.
That's where you want to go?
And
That's
this,
exactly
Excuse
right.
me, you can. Choose another route, but not this one. Go ahead.
I would like to look at the video with you one more time.
What video, sir?
This would be the video with Mr. Melendez's police vehicle. And
Mr. Thomas, after when you do that, your voice drops so, it drops so low, no one can hear. You got to keep your voice up, sir. You want to look at the video where?
you know, the lights went down, Judge. I started talking low. I'm sorry.
I don't know why. Okay, but that's your reason. Okay, but in here, talk a little louder with the lights on or off, okay? I don't know what's in your mind.
What is it?
Hey, 1 second. You ready? You ready?
In 1 second, please.
Okay.
This is Exhibit 1.
Exhibit 1. Wait a minute. Do you have it, Mr.
It's
Dawes?
coming up.
he hasn't told us yet.
He hasn't pulled it yet.
And
No,
I want it to be at 21. Let's take it from the beginning, Alex, with the setup. Get the circumstances. And then I want to 215756. Okay, what we're looking at is 215756. Do you agree?
Yeah, 20, what are you saying? What? 21 what?
No, we need to go before that. This is... Okay. Could we stop, please? What I want to go to is the setup for the surveillance. Yes, 214432. Please, Judge, I apologize. Are we ready? This is still in exhibit number 1. This is the view from the video, right?
Yes,
You see cars passing to the right and to the left, correct?
yes. This way
And
and
talk
that
to
way.
me about the potential that the view had been obstructed. Of course, it's dark out, would you agree?
Yes,
But you can clearly see cars passing in both directions, correct?
yes.
Have you looked at this part of the video?
Yes.
How many times?
I don't know. Several.
Okay. You at some point, had asked that the video be slowed down frame by frame.
Yes.
But the portion of the video that was slowed down frame by frame was the alleged pursuit and assault. Agree?
Correct.
This portion you never had slowed down frame by frame.
Correct.
But as we talked about, there is traffic passing to the right going eastbound on Michigan and traffic passing to the left.
Correct.
And what I had originally asked you about was, you know, this is the view of the camera. Obviously, it's not the full view of the people that are in the car.
Correct.
Okay. Can you call out the times, please? Okay. Can you go to 21:48:27? 21:48:20? 48? 20.
21:48:10.
That's fine. Let's look at that for a few seconds. Can you make it bigger? See that car or those cars passing to the right?
Correct.
You see cars passing to the left. You tell me when. Call it out.
There. There.
Call out the time, please.
21:48:38.
Did you see vehicles passing from right to left?
Yes.
Were you able to identify those vehicles?
The ones on this side of the street?
No, passing right to left.
The ones passing to the right, you could tell some of the vehicles. The ones passing to the left, I could not tell.
Could you tell whether they were light or dark?
Some of them you could tell.
Okay. So, and could you tell what type of car they were?
Some of them, like I said, you could tell if they're SUVs, they're cars.
Okay. Now, if Mr. Dent was in his vehicle and he was on I-275, does Michigan Avenue have access to I-275?
Yes.
And in order to get to the position that you are in, he would have to travel in one direction, eastbound, correct? And then turn around and go westbound. Would you agree?
If he's traveling from 275?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Certainly if he was on Michigan Avenue at any given time.
Wait a minute, that depends on how far you're going down, what you're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about where we're looking right now.
Okay.
And where it is that he would have to come from if he was coming from I-275.
Yes, he would have to travel eastbound down Michigan Avenue.
And what about, is there a turnaround right to the right of that?
Yep, it's one to the right. No, it's not a turnaround, it's actually, you get to Beach Daily to the right of that.
Okay.
You have to cross Beach Daily and do a Michigan left, a legal Michigan left.
And if you do make a Michigan left, if you came from I-75, 275, you would have to be passing from the right to the left, is that right?
No, you said if he was coming from 275?
No, ma'am, after he makes a turnaround.
That's assuming facts not known.
Maybe, maybe not. All right, the video's here, okay? I'm just talking about what you would expect to see if he was at 275.
If he traveled down this far, yes.
At some point, you would have to travel from left to right, correct?
To pass here, yes.
Yes. And at some point, he would have to pass from right to left if he was going to be traveling towards Fairbairn.
Yes.
Okay. Now, or towards the Budget Inn. Because the Budget Inn's on your left, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you weren't out there that night, right?
Correct.
You don't know where he came from that night, right?
Right.
Okay. He could have come from I-275, correct?
Correct.
He could have come from any number of places. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Okay. what is the large streets to the right of Michigan Avenue and this
The main road, that's Beach Daily.
Beach Daily, before Beach Daily,
Before Beach Daily is Michigan Ave. I'm sorry, Telegraph.
Telegraph. Telegraph's a main thoroughfare, right?
Correct.
Now, did you go out there and pace that, where's that? Did you pace that 600 feet that you had measured from Google?
I didn't pace it, no.
Did you ever go out there at night to see what it is that you could see?
Yes.
Did you have, when was it that you did that?
Right after I got the investigation.
In March 23rd.
Sometime, a few days after that.
Did you go out with anybody else?
No.
Did you write a report to the effect that you had gone out there and done the surveillance of the area?
I didn't do surveillance. I just went out there to get a picture in my mind of what I was looking at.
And the budget inn was in operation at the time?
Yes.
Did you see people outside?
I saw cars in the parking lot. I can't say I saw people.
Did you drive by the parking lot?
Yes, I drove up in it and turned around.
Were there people there?
It was cars, not people.
No people. What time was it?
It was about 10, somewhere between 9, no, I think it was like 10:15, because it was after the start of the 10 o'clock shift.
What kind of car were you in?
I was in my state police vehicle. It was a Chevy SUV Silver. It was not an Envoy. Yeah, it was. It's an Envoy. Super Envoy. Yes.
Not marked,
No, it's plain.
but you had lights?
I don't have, it's just a plain car like everybody else. It don't have police lights or nothing.
No police lights, no emergency,
No emergency equipment, no lights, no sirens, nothing.
and you pulled in.
Yes.
How long were you there?
I just did enough to flip around and come out.
Hold on one second, Judge, please.
Want the lights back on?
Yes.
Cut the lights back on.
You've looked at the video,
Yes.
you've seen the alleged assault,
Yes.
you saw Officer Zelenowski out there.
Yes.
When Zelenowski was engaged with Mr. Dent, did he have a hat on?
No.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Cross-examination, do the rest.
What did you see when you went out there at night and took a look at the budget in from the vantage point that the defendant was at?
It was dark for me. I couldn't see anything.
Well, could you see any lights or anything like that?
I mean, you could see street lights down Michigan Ave. You could see cars going back and forth, but it was nothing I could see.
Did you use binoculars?
No.
So you're speaking to what Mr. Zelenowski would have been able to see with his naked eye?
Correct.
Did you have seen a car in the parking lot down there?
Not from where I was seated.
Did you see a person getting in and out of that car?
No, I could not.
Been talking about a CAD report. What is that? What does that mean?
From what I know of it, is what's produced from dispatch times to patrolmen as to where they go, what they're what they're calling into dispatch.
Okay. Are all these times synced up to Greenwich Mean Time and everything gets put together like that?
I have no idea.
Remember talking about phone records and cell towers and all of that, is that right?
That's correct.
And when you get a phone record back, do you know how to read those phone records?
Yes.
And how is it you know what tower a phone is being billed off of?
Judge, that is interesting, because she's not being offered as an expert, and now she is.
No, I'm asking her how she read the record, that's all.
No, I'm not gonna lie.
And your review was that the towers were coming as far away as 275, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and moving time-wise in the direction of where Mr. Dent said he was going, correct?
Yes.
The two videos that we've seen, the one that has the incident in frame by frame and the longer version, which is the first one played and the last one played, do they differ at all in terms of content and viewability?
No.
One is easier to stop frame by frame, correct?
Correct.
Did you retrieve the narcotics that were on evidence in this particular case
No, I did not.
at any point?
No.
Were they analyzed?
The narcotics?
Yes.
Yes.
And were they also processed for prints?
The baggie? Yes.
And describe for the jury, let's write that. These have been marked as exhibits 10, is it 18? 10 is the laboratory report regarding the cocaine that's been introduced in evidence. And 18 is the laboratory report showing the results of the analysis. My understanding, counsel is going to stipulate to the admission of both of them.
Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
As it relates to exhibit number 10, can you indicate to the jury what the results of the analysis were?
The results of it, the analysis was, you want me to read it? Just read what it's saying?
That'll be fine.
Based upon observations made and the results of microscopic, chemical and/or instrumental analysis performed on the above listed items, the following statement of findings is made. Item 1, the weight 5.26 grams, substance identified to be cocaine, the schedule is 2.
I'm going to hand you exhibit number 18. And had the item been submitted for fingerprints when the case was assigned to you?
No.
All right. And did you ask that the item be analyzed for prints?
Yes.
And what were the results of the analysis of the plastic bag?
The listed evidence was processed with no latent prints being developed.
And were there two people whose prints we were looking for on that bag?
Yes.
And they're referred on the report to as elimination prints, is that correct?
Just subjects.
Subjects. And can you explain to the jury the difference between a subject and an elimination print?
Well, the subjects showed that it's an alleged victim and alleged elimination print.
Okay.
Okay.
And what were the results?
There's still no latent prints.
Okay, and what does that mean?
That means there were no prints identified to be on that baggie.
So we don't know who had their hands on that bag other than by testimony and video, correct?
Correct.
You're all right, move for admission of all marked exhibits at this point.
Any objection?
No, Judge, I don't. There was
And let's go
another
through
exhibit.
them.
I beg your pardon?
Excuse me, let's go through them.
May I borrow your list, madam? One is the complete Inkster in-car videos. That was people's proposed exhibit number 1. That was the last one they looked at. 2 was the photographs of Floyd Dent and his injuries. 3 was the radio communication. 4 was the booking room video. 5 was the Michigan State Police slowed down video. 6 was Mr. Zelenowski's cell phone records. We just spoke of those. They were not admitted, nor do I seek their admission. 7 was Inkster use of force policy. 8 was a toxicology report for alcohol. 9 toxicology report for drugs. 10 was the toxicology report for cocaine. 11 was not admitted. It was the gate logs that the court found cumulative. 12 was the Dent medicals. 13 was the Google aerial map, as was 14, 15, 16, and 17. And 18 was the MSP report. And we have Defense Exhibit A, alcohol and drug determination, and Defense Exhibit B, Dent cell phone bell. I think that's them.
Any objection to their admission?
Judge, I don't. Do we have the medical records?
12.
12. No, Judge.
Any objection? Very good. Court will receive them. Anything else?
People would propose waiver of the remaining witnesses on the witness list unless counsel wants me
Any
to
objection?
introduce someone else.
We had a discussion regarding the introduction of cocaine.
Yes, I thought I had it
This
here.
witness, are you finished with this witness?
What's that?
Well, no, it might have to be done through this witness.
I will stipulate that it comes in and that it was put on evidence in this case. I thought it
Any
was there.
objection to the stipulation?
All right, no objection to the stipulation. The cocaine will be admitted as Exhibit C.
That's fine. I have
That's
no
fine.
objection to it coming in. We just don't have it anymore.
Anything else?
I have nothing else.
Thank you. Can this witness step down?
I have no objection to it stepping down.
Okay, very good. With that, next
People
witness.
rest.
The people rest. What I indicated to you is that the people bear the burden. The defense does not have to present any witnesses, but if they do, it will come after the presentation of the witnesses by the prosecution. All rise for the jury. I need you to go in your the presence of the jury.
All right, thank you, Judge. Short argument, recognizing that the prosecutor is going to be given the benefit of any inference or that can be drawn from the evidence in order to support the potential for the charges that are here. There's 3. All right, strangulation. We have seen the video. We did not see Officer Melendez's shoulder or elbow go around Mr. Dent's neck. He indicates that his trachea was somehow involved. He goes to the hospital. There's no indication of any injury to his neck. He doesn't report it. The medical records confirm it. Strangulation requires that his airways be in some fashion blocked. He does not complain about his blood flow to his brain being blocked. His injuries, as they are reported in the medical record, are inconsistent with what it is that he said. More. You looked at the video. All right. Now, prosecutor would like to say passive resistance. I say that he was actively resisting, that there were 2 people, 240 pounds apiece, that were trying to get him to put his hands behind his back, which he did not. All right. His resisting at that point does not cease. Where is it that he was unconscious? Where is it that strangulation had occurred? I don't think that they've put forth a sufficient case for strangulation, which, as you know, is a significant issue in this case. The second is great bodily harm less than murder. Great bodily harm less than murder requires that there be significant injuries. We see from the medical records what his injuries are. Notwithstanding what he complained of on television, or notwithstanding anything other than the evidence in this case, we believe that he's exaggerated his injuries. There is a CT scan that says that he has no subdural hematoma, no subarachnoid hemorrhage. I'm sorry, I misspoke. We have no medical support for what he advances, and that is that his nose was broken. All right. He had an injury to his eye. It was a fracture. It was repaired. We have no evidence of any other medical treatment after he was released, or within a week after he was released. Why do I ask that question? Why do I say that that is an issue? And the issue is great bodily harm less than murder. Now, there are several other offenses that the court could consider to bind over on. One is aggravated assault. If you found that
Counsel. Okay. This is a motion for directed verdict, okay?
So, in light most favorable to the prosecution, I don't think they made their case there. Okay. Willful neglect of office, now, the instruction that we're talking about is as it relates to a malfeasance. Okay? And the question is whether or not there has been any testimony here that he has abused his office. You saw the video, you'll make a decision, that's a question for you to decide. But as it relates to preserving the record on that issue of a directed verdict for those three charges, that's my argument.
Response, briefly.
All three are questions of fact for this fact finding.
And that's what I have to so find. Looking at the testimony in light most favorable to the people, whether or not a rational trier of fact can find each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm satisfied that there's sufficient evidence for a trier of fact to in fact do that. Because of that standard, the court, it is a standard that goes in favor with the people. The court's going to deny the motion as to each and every element. I mean, as to each and every charge. What are we going to do now? You said...
I have witness, I think.
Do you want to check?
I'll check.
Please.
May I make a short sojourn down the hall?
Very good. Let's come back at 3 o'clock, and we'll go to 4. Thank you.